Hi, I'm Joanna Conti, and I'm CEO of Vista Research Group. And I want to show you how to create a very pretty patient progress graph that allows you to compare the percentage of patients at intake who come into treatment with moderate to severe depression to those that leave treatment with moderate to severe depression. So I'm assuming that you have this massive spreadsheet of PHQ-9 scores, and you're trying to manipulate it to get to this very pretty graph. So I'm going to show you how I do it. There's lots of other ways to do it, but I'll show you my way. And you can probably find other ways that you prefer doing it if you have to do this on a regular basis. But what you see here is I have a lot of PHQ-9 scores from intake on a little over 1,500 patients. And then I have update survey scores for the same period of time for probably over 4,000 patients, or over 4,000 surveys. So the first thing we want to do is we want both columns to represent the same patient. And we only want to look at the last survey for the patient. So we have multiple patients for multiple surveys for a lot of the patients who submitted update surveys. So the first thing we're going to have to do is try and figure out what is the last survey for each of these patients. So how I do this is I sort this by two things. First, by client ID, and then by the date that this survey was submitted. And I'm going to sort in reverse order so that the latest surveys are on top. So what we can see is we have 3 surveys for this patient, and the one for January 16th is on top, and they go through January 9th and January 2nd. So I'll show you by creating a little formula, a way that we can determine which one's the last one. So I'm going to make it a little easier to see by going down and not starting on the very top row, but I'm going to say, I'm going to create an if statement. If this ID is equal to the ID above it, we know it's not the last one, right? So we're going to leave this space blank, this cell blank. But if it is, we're going to type last in this blank. So this wasn't the last one, so it stays blank, but this was the last one. So now I'm going to copy, I guess I have to copy down from here. I'm going to copy this formula all the way down. And you can see we have a lot of surveys that are ranked to be the last survey. Now, you can't just leave it in the formula because if you sorted this, the formula would change again. So I'm going to copy these results and I'm going to paste them as values so that no longer is this a calculation in this field, but it's actually the last survey. It's in there, and it will stay with this survey no matter how many times I sort it. So now I'm going to sort this entire group by that column, and I'm going to end up with all the surveys that are the last surveys on top. So I end up with 990 surveys that are the last ones. And I want to delete the rest of them, but there's quite a lot of rows. So rather than just manually scrolling down and deleting them, I'm just going to see how far down this goes. Okay, and it goes out to column M. So I'm going to say M4095. I want to highlight all of these and then delete them. And I want to delete the entire rows. So now what I have here is just the update surveys that were the last one for each patient. I don't have to do that at intake because each patient only had one survey. If you have your intakes and your last surveys all mixed up, you're going to have to do this sequentially rather than deleting everything. You would then sort the ones that you still had left for the first survey and do another sort and another thing where you would rank them. So now the only ones left are the last surveys, so we can delete that column. All right, now we have 1,517 intakes. We have 990 last update surveys. We want to include the same patients in this chart. So only patients that we have both an intake and an update survey for do we want to include in this chart. So the way that I think is the easiest way to do it is to copy all of these ID. Actually, I think rather than just the whole row, I need to copy just A1 to A90. And then I want to go over to the intake. I'll make a space, a new row. And then I want to copy the client IDs from, oops, let me go back and get it again. Update, copy, go to intake, paste. Okay, so this is actually, we'll just, so we don't get confused, we'll say this is the update client ID. Now, the reason I did this is I want to use conditional formatting to highlight all of the duplicates. So everything that's in pink means that we have both an intake and an update survey for it. So now I'm going to sort this entire thing by color. And I'm going to sort, instead of by cell value, I'm going to sort by cell color. And I want to put those that are duplicates on top. So I don't have to worry about the pink in column B. I only have to worry about the pink in column A, and I'm going to delete all the rest of these. Now remember, I just deleted some of the pink, so it's not going to end up perfect afterwards, but we know that the pink on top, so we'll just remove this conditional formatting now. Clear rules. Okay, so we ended up with 865 surveys, intakes that we had a last survey for. Now, I think we had more than that we had updates. So we also have to look, So we also have to do the same thing in the reverse. So now I'm going to take the list of client IDs that we think were duplicates. I'm going to insert it here in the update surveys. I'm going to do conditional formatting again to highlight duplicate values. And I am going to sort the first column by color. And delete everything below that. Conditional formatting, I'm going to clear this so you don't get confused. I'm going to delete those intake ones. Okay, so we now have 865 rows of last update surveys. With a little bit of luck, we'll have the same number of last rows, 865 for intakes. So we now have a data set that has 865 intakes and the last treatment episode for the same 865 patients. Hopefully that all made sense to you. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pivot table. There are other ways to do this. You could sort it manually, but I will tell you that pivot tables can save an immense amount of time and they're not hard to understand. So what you do is I'm on the intake, I'm going to highlight the entire sheet and I'm going to say insert pivot table from this table, and I'm just going to create a new worksheet for it. Now, a pivot table, you have to specify what you want to analyze and how you want to analyze it. So what I want to create is a pivot table that every different PHQ-9 score is on a different row, as you can see over here. And then what I want to do beside it is count how many patients had that PHQ-9 score. You'll see it came up with a sum. It wanted to add all my ID numbers together. That doesn't help me at all. So I want to go to value field settings and I want to say, don't sum these numbers, count them for me. So now what I can see is 41 patients had a PHQ-9 score of 0. 33 patients had a score of 17. This is again on the intake. So let's analyze this and see what it means in terms of severity. So according to the PHQ-9 assessment, how it's been validated, someone with a moderate depression will have a score between 10 and 14. So let's count. Oops, I'm going to make this a text field so it doesn't turn it into a date. I think I'm going to turn it into a date. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm going to format the cells to a text field. Okay, let's try again. Between 10 and 14 is moderate depression. So I am going to sum the number of patients that had between 10 and 14 as their PHQ-9 score. Moderately severe depression is a score of 15 to 19. So let me sum that. Count that up, 15 to 19. And then a severe depression is a score of 20 to 27. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the update surveys. So I'm going to highlight the whole page. I'm going to insert a pivot table. I'll just put it on yet another page. I will put client ID as a count here, and I will put the PHQ-9 scores here. And I'll do the same thing. A moderate is 10 to 14, so equals sum of 10 to 14. Moderately severe. Oh, shoot. It is persnickety, isn't it? 10 to 14, moderately severe is 15 to 19. Oops. there's even a 19. Okay, and severe is 20 to 27. Okay, so now we have the count. So now we want to take this data and we want to turn it into a graph. So going back to the PHQ-9 analysis, we are going to create or take the data from the intake. So we had 226 with moderate depression. We're going to paste it here, and we have 865 overall. We have 865 intakes and 865 last surveys. So let's go to the numbers that we calculated on the last survey and bring that in also to the graph. In order to graph this, we need to turn this into percentages, and we actually need to reverse the order that we put these in for Excel's bar graph. So we're going to look at severe depression. We're going to divide the 330 by 865. For moderate depression, we're going to divide this by 865. And for moderate depression, we're going to divide 226 by 865. And we're going to copy these over here. Okay, let's now turn this into a bar graph. So we're going to go to Insert Recommended Charts. We're going to pick the top one, and we're going to pick the bar graph. Now, I didn't want to show it this way. I want to switch the rows and columns and show at intake how many have each of the different levels of depression, and at last survey. Let me change the title. So this is Patient Progress on Depression Symptoms. Maybe we'll put PHQ-9 here. And then we want to say this is among 865 patients in treatment between 1/1/23 and I think it was today, 9/8/23, who submitted at least one update survey. Okay, whoops, I should go backspace. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so far so good, except I don't like these colors. I want severe colors. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not what I want to do. I want to fill the severe depression with a dark red. I want to make the moderate severe a medium pink, and I want to make the moderate depression a light pink. I want to add data labels. Okay. Actually, I'm going to delete that one because it's just too small to be seen. But I think we can put data labels in both of these. And then you can also, what I typically do is I add a text box. And I manually type in what size this is. So it totaled up to, let's see, what did it sum up to? 92%, that is really high. So let's try this again. We're going to insert Okay, now I want to just insert, understand why, text box, okay. Insert a text box. And I'm going to type 92%. I'm going to move this over here. And I'm going to copy this text box. Move it down here. And put in 13%. Okay, so now we have a graph in Excel that shows that among the same patients, 92% of patients came in reporting moderate to severe depression, and by the time they left treatment, this had dropped to 13%. I hope this was helpful. I hope I didn't confuse you to death. I thank you very much. Bye.